All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Friday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. And as always, we want to make sure we start our day off by taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering the trade, preparing you for the outcome, setting yourself body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine, um, imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So we are going to hop into the fundamentals. We had some interesting things happen yesterday. So we want to take a look there, and then we'll go over to the charts and see how that impacted things from a technical perspective. All right. So um, Michelle says you need to update your Zoom. No, never mind. All good. So let's get to it. So let's go over to trading economics. Um, Actually, let's start at the calendar and then we'll go over to trading economics. All right. Um, so yesterday we had CPI data came in. Um, the headline CPI came in below expectation. Core CPI came in below expectation, and CPI year over year came in below expectation. So then you had unemployment claims uh, not meet the expectation, but these numbers here is really what the market was looking at. And ultimately, the sentiment is with these numbers trickling down and this headline CPI number coming down below 3.1, investors took that as inflation is moving in the right direction, right? We're moving toward that 2% level. You also had some of your central bankers come to the microphone yesterday stating similar, giving a similar narrative, right? They're encouraged by the CPI number, which is cool, right? We move down, moving toward that that 2% range. Um, it's just the question of future is, do we continue to move in that direction or does inflation spike back up, right? And so everybody's encouraged by the number moving toward that 2% level. So that was big news yesterday. You saw some movement in the dollar um, as that number came out yesterday morning. All right. Um, and that was pretty much it. You had a couple members speak yesterday after that number came out. Then you had President Biden talk last night. So um, this morning, not a ton to come out this morning. But later on at 8:30, we have PPI numbers, which will also be key producer price index. So we'll be able to see what things look like from a production perspective, right? From a cost and inflation of producing goods. So we'll look at that later on today. Over to trading economics, big thing here is you saw a major jump in the yen. Um, the Japanese yen fluctuated around 159 per dollar on Friday, and is expected to remain volatile after rebounding sharply in the previous session on suspected intervention from Japanese authorities in the wake of cooler than anticipated U.S. inflation data. All right. Thursday, the yen surged as much as 2.6% to 157.4, with local media claiming the move was spurred by official buying to support the currency after plunging to 38-year lows. The Nikkei also reported the Bank of Japan conducted rate checks with the banks on the euro yen cross on Friday, raising fears of further intervention. Meanwhile, top currency diplomat Masato Kanda refused to confirm whether the government had a hand in the yen rally. Investors also look forward to the BOJ's policy meeting in late July, expected to announce bond purchases, the tapering plans, and possible raising interest rates again. So we had some intervention yesterday, right? And that intervention was expected. It's expected that the amount was in the tune of 3.5 trillion yen or $22 billion. Um, so it was less than previous, but what I'm reading is this is kind of a new tactic to decrease the amount of money that they have to actually spend, um, is using it in tandem with major data releases, right? And in this case, they were preparing for two sides. They were preparing for a hotter than expected CPI number and also a softer than expected CPI number. And with a softer than expected CPI number, right, they were able to spend less money on this intervention, and it pushed the yen quite a bit, right? But it was an intervention, not a fundamental change, which we've been talking about, right? So that was some big news yesterday, and we'll take a look at the charts to see what happened there. Um, so big deal there. Then that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Anybody got any questions about any of that? Or did you come across anything that you want to put on the table? No? No. All right, cool deal. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning. Happy Friday. Good morning,
Ha-
everybody.
Happy Friday, man. How are you this morning?
Oh man, I'm doing great. You know why? Because we got some movement in the market.
That we did, my man. That we did. Talk to me about what you're seeing from a fundamental perspective.
Oh man, hey, you got a high percentage chance now of rate cuts in September, but we shall see. I tend to follow the Fed. I know the market gets emotional, so we'll see about that. But what is that third consecutive time, right? So, you know, I can see why the chances are increasing for a Fed rate cut, but it is yet to be seen. And then I know they don't want to admit it, but the Bank of Japan, that's what intervention looks like. What we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good because we got some movement. But because of the reaction, I think it actually lessens the chance of the BOJ. It creates less pressure for them uh, to make the moves that they've been talking about making in regards to raising the interest rates and lessening the bond purchases and all of that stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward as a result of what happened yesterday, because those were some large corrections, right? So right now, unless they step in and pump the market down again, I'm actually looking for opportunities, to get long on the end, right? Last time they intervened, the market recovered. The market's definitely risk on right now, you know. So the market recovered nicely and took back everything that, you know, had moved bearish. It got bullish and took over again and went long. So we'll continue to watch it closely and see what happens with these skin crosses. But I'm just happy to get some movement in the market. This summer can be a drag, and it has been exactly that. And hey, full speed ahead into the fall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, I actually just mentioned that, and that intervention, it was just that, right?
Hmm.
They were able to save money by doing it in line with a key fundamental data release. that helped move the market in the direction that they wanted it to go. So I agree with you that it does kind of take some of the pressure off for later on this month, and definitely looking for buying opportunities um, unless they decide to step in again. Right. So um, I'm in line with you, bro. I'm in line with you.
Yeah, for sure. So it was good to see some things uh, finally happen. So look forward to see what's going on here, in the near future in regards to price action.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So over to the DXY,
Yeah. The
right?
one play I didn't catch all the ends. I'm sorry, but
No, you
that
get
one play that we had posted that New Zealand yen played out nicely as a result, you know, of the intervention. So I'll take it.
beautiful move there. Boom. Right. And I think your fib was a little smaller like that there. Right. And that was a beautiful move to the downside on that smaller wave.
Had it setting up on a 4 and a 1, so it's
Boom.
good.
Yep. And so, right, with that, we'll start here, right? With that move to the downside, you got a 618 retracement. Now let's see if we get price to take over, the bulls to take back over and push price to the matching D extension at 99,326, right? I had a larger wave on this, so it still keeps us in that range if we do push back up to that matching D extension of that smaller wave, right? So watching that to see what happens, to see if we do get this run back to the upside, and then just how far it runs, right? That smaller wave D extension, and then does it just continue to run, right? Continue to rise. So, um, watching that there, you said also on the one, and so we'll run that fib off the low again. Oh, boom, right? And on the one, you got an 8-6 retracement. Still stayed inside that AB boundary, but that matching extension brings you back to the top, right? So do we get that move back long, get us back to these higher prices and potentially even further? All right. Enjoy caught the cat in. Beautiful. Great work. Great work. Right. So do we see that action now? Okay. And you see as price got to the lower levels here, right? We got a strong reaction back to the upside, and let's see how far long we get, right? We do have a stochastic back in the sell zone. So maybe we get a pullback and then a continuation to the upside. Okay. Let's drop some sevens in the chat for joy. We'll take a look at that CAD yen as well on that movement. But
Hey Ryan,
yes, ma'am.
can you put your 200 on your chart?
That's what you're looking for?
Yeah, because when I was looking at it, it didn't nothing had dropped yet. So I just wanted to see where price was from the 200.
Yeah. Yeah. And just how this was originally set up, right? You got your trend line there, you got that break, you got a pullback of the trend line, and then you really got that break of that 200 with that strong push to the downside there. Yeah. All right. You're welcome. So the dollar, right? We pushed down a little bit further. Now we're taking back some of that move down. And we'll see, right, with that PPI data, what happens. Do we get another push to the downside here and get us back to that support level 103, 568? right? Which will cause more downward movement for all those dollar pairs and dollar crosses. Okay, so that is that. Take a look at the dollar yen while we're here, right? From a daily time frame perspective, right? We know we've been in this 118, 127 zone for forever, but still pressing to the upside. We broke previous daily resistance here on that last move to the upside after this intervention, right? This was that previous intervention, came back, retested previous resistance, and then continue to make higher lows, right? So we got a similar scenario here, right? Broke this previous resistance level, boom, come back to retest it. So looking at it, right? I'm looking for price to continue to do its thing, continue to make those higher lows, right? So until something changes, we'll keep expecting the same thing. This is just a pullback, higher low, continue moving long. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for on this dollar yen, right? So as we come down to the 4 and we look at this, we hit that D extension there. And so our new AB boundary that didn't pop in would look like this. Boom. Right? And so that pullback, whoops, that pullback got us to a 382. Retest that level. Now we push to the upside. So it's interesting because it was last week I mentioned that some investors are talking about 170. And if we do make it to the matching D extension here, that puts us at 167, 766, right? Which is getting close to that 170 mark, right? That new level that people are looking at. So we could see this yen continue to track to the upside. Okay. Excuse me. So we'll watch and see, right? We did break back below this previous support level, but we'll see what happens from a fundamental perspective here. Okay, so that's on the 4. Coming down to the 1. We'll look at this maybe.
And from that last chart, that's a lot of times when I'll be looking for the D extension to hit after the new fib form. That's what I'd be looking for on that 4 hour. But this year, price don't work like that no more.
Hold on, say that again.
If you go back to your 4,
Mm-hmm.
from that when it hit the D extension and then it formed a new AB boundary, a lot of times when I be waiting for the D extension to be hit, this is the move that I be looking for
Mm.
price to pull back. But when a new fib come, then it just keep going. You know, the trend so strong, it just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And with these yen, that's definitely been the case. That's definitely been the case. Um, so we'll see, right? We'll see if we get another move down or do we continue moving to the upside, right? So we'll keep our eyes on the Bank of Japan for sure. And then here on the 1, we'll run our fib off of one of these lows. Boom. Right. And so on the 1, just with that 382 there, but we turned over and took out the A. Right. So on the 1 hour, we'll flip that fib and run it to the downside. And that'll be here. Okay. All right. And so now we'll watch this and see if we ultimately take this A out again. Just moving sideways right now, could potentially even move sideways through the weekend, but see if we get price to start moving back to the upside and take out that A. All right. So that's the dollar yen. Any questions on this?
Nope.
Oh, all right, cool deal. Um, over to the Aussie yen. So these we talked about yesterday, being in the zone. And what's interesting, right? We talked about them potentially not making this retracement because we didn't. I didn't think that there would be an intervention yesterday, but we talked about price being in the zone here, right? And we needed additional confirmation in order for that to take that move to the downside. Well, that confirmation came in that strong move down, right? So that 80-20 played out completely here on the one, right? And it again, it just goes back to one, trading what you see. Um, this is me talking to me, and two, um, it's just interesting how this zone very frequently lines up with the fundamentals as well, right? Even though we do have times where it just continues to run, a lot of times, right, it lines up with the fundamentals as well. So we got that strong move to the downside. Now I flipped the fib. This is on the one, and we're looking at that retracement happening here. All right. So we'll just see how price moves from that perspective. So walking back on this, right? We didn't get to the matching D extension here on the four. So it would make sense, right? If price just gave a retracement to then continue into this zone to get to that 4 hour D extension, that daily D extension, that weekly D extension, right? And continue moving to the upside here to get to those levels. Okay. So yes, we did break back below this previous all-time high. We'll see if we're able to break back above it, retest, and then continue pushing. All right. So then coming back to the daily time frame, right? There's your 80-20 scenario on the daily. Got a nice bearish engulfing candle, but let's see if we get another push to the upside to get into this zone. Like I said, to get to those weekly and monthly D extension levels, right? Which we see here. Okay. So still looking for this to move back to the upside. Right. I don't think this is the move yet, even though I really would like it to be. Nothing has changed from a fundamental perspective, like Benny said, right? To take some of the pressure off of the Bank of Japan come the end of the month. So we'll watch and see what happens here. Okay, so that's the Aussie yen. Any questions here?
Nope.
All right, cool deal. CAD yen, Joyce said she was able to catch this one here on your one. This was the move. We just missed that 118 level, right? But we started to trickle to the downside here, right? And then you got that sharper move down. Okay, so this was just as our session was wrapping up, right? 8 o'clock, you see that move to the downside. Okay. Um, but strong move there. Boom. So that's what happened. And we took out the A there as well. So then we flipped the fib, and now we're looking at the retracement coming there. Right. So walking back now to the four, that push down got us to a 382 level on the four. So let's see again, if we turn over, break back above that 117, 354 level, retest it, and then continue. Get action like that. Okay. And on the daily, right, we're still trying to make our way to the upside to get to the matching D extension levels up here at all-time highs at 125, 629. Okay. On the daily, we got a stochastic moving into the buy zone. Right. Stochastic moving into the buy zone, tweezer bottoms if we close bullish here, and then we'll see if we get price to continue that trek, right, and get that momentum to shift back to the upside here, right? So this could definitely be a buying opportunity. Also, right, we came back and we retested previous resistance, right? Same as last time. Broke above the level here, came back, retested, continued moving long. We broke a key level here, came back, retested. Now we'll see if we get that movement to continue moving along. All right. So that's where we are on the Cadian. All right. Looking for that move back to the upside. Questions here?
No.
And this is what we talked about yesterday, right? Getting a low price to then have the opportunity to buy. Okay. Now, I didn't buy off the B boundary here. So I didn't get that opportunity on the buy here, but do we push back down and get another low price, right? Retest support. Do we get some sort of signal that gives us an opportunity to buy in this scenario? Whoops. Okay. So, but we got a price to move down, or on the 4, do we get another move down, right, to push us into our sweet spot? That'd be beautiful if it did, but it could also not. All right. So we'll watch that. Swiss yen. This is the one that could be the most interesting of them all, I think, just because of the state of the Swiss franc. But we got the sharp move down. All right, we had the little flag pattern, boom, breakdown. Now we're pulling back, but we could definitely push into that 118, 127 zone still. Okay, coming to the 4. We already got that 50% retracement, so we want to see that D extension achieved here on the 4. Again, that could be that pullback, right? We have some 4-hour resistance here. Boom. And we came back and retested. Yeah, me neither, Joy. I did not either. But came back, retested previous resistance here. And let's see if we get that bounce and continuation to the upside to get to this level, right? We get to 183. I love it. I love it. So that's what we're looking at there on the 4. And then making our way down to the 1. There was your 80-20 play. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, breakdown just shy of a 618 retracement. So we almost got the TP2 there. Right. So beautiful scenarios, man. And they all set up beautifully into this 118, 127 zone. So let's see if we get price to turnovers. If we're able to break the cloud here and retest the cloud, I'll look for a buying opportunity there to get us up to that 182. Questions on the Swiss yen? It works, man. It works. Euro yen. We talked about this one coming back and retesting the level that it just broke. Look what it did. Retest, bounce. That's what we're looking for. We'll come down to the 4. Whoops. Right. So hit our D extension on the push to the upside. Right. So we'll have a new AB boundary pop in here. Boom. Okay. So now we'll see what happens. They did their rate checks, but that could have been just for yesterday. So now let's see if we get this push into the 118 and 127 zone, come in around 181, 404. Right. But fresh AB boundary, see if we push into the zone there. But that's what we wanted, that retest of that level to then have an opportunity to buy. So we come down to the 1, and we had to draw this fib in manually, but we got a 786 retracement, double bottomed at that level, right? Double bottomed at that level. and now we're moving back long. All right, so looking for price to come into this 127 extension. See the D move. Beautiful. Okay. So that's the euro yen. It did what we expected it to do. And Reese, this is one that you had set up on the 30, right? Was it this one or another? Pound yen. It was one of them. But pound yen, right? We got pushed that 206 level. It's a long time ago. I said, I don't know if we get there. We got there. We got there for sure, right? Uh, and we got there quickly. So stochastic coming out of that sell zone. We didn't quite get back to that 201 level, but strong push down. Now we're pulling back. Okay. Come down to the 4. There's your 80-20 scenario on the 4. In that 118 and 127 zone, here's the push down. Also, we came down, retested the cloud and the trend line, right? Retest trend line, bounce, right? Bounce. So look for this one to push to the D extension, right? Push to the upside 209.56 is what we're looking for. All right, we didn't get that Kumo twist there. We didn't get a break of the cloud. And we're moving back to the upside. Okay. Down on the 1. Price just missed the 118 and 127 zone. Breakdown. And then we took out the A. So we flipped the fib on the 1. We're looking at it top down. And there's your retracement. Okay, so that's where we are. That's where we are. That's the pound yen. Questions?
Nope.
Right. All right. So the yens did what we ultimately what we wanted them to do. All right. So now just looking for rules to be met for buying opportunities. Be it cloud breaks back to the upside. Um, some of them already gave us trend line breaks on that move back long. So any questions on any of the yens or what these scenarios look like? Nope.
Hey,
All
Ryan, I
right.
got my notes. My question was, seeing the name said Conda from JPY. Is he like
Uh-huh.
a Fed chair pal?
No, Conda is he is I believe like the finance minister. Let me double check my words there. I believe that's his role. Currency diplomat. So he works more with the government, not the central bank. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, cool deal. So let's take a look at some of these dollar pairs. Aussie dollar continuing to track to the upside, right? We got this reaction yesterday, but continuing to push long that dollar weakness. So we'll see. We got stochastic in the sell zone, but we'll see if we continue to get this push to the upside. We'll see what the PPI data comes in looking like, right? And that could give us more catalyst to continue moving long here. Now, I know we looked at this one yesterday. On the 4, we did push to that 118 level. Okay, we did push to the 118 level there, push down, but I'm looking to see if we continue pushing to the upside here, at least in the short term. Okay. And then here on the 1, right? We do have our 80-20 scenario. Didn't get to the D extension, but we're still staying above the trend line and above the cloud, right? Got a decent move back down, right? After the strong bullish move on the data. Came back down to retest those levels, and now we're turning back over to push back to the upside. So I'm looking for this one to continue moving long, right? So I'll sit and wait. If we get a strong bearish trend line break, then that'll be a signal for me, right, to play the 80-20 to the downside. But I'm sitting patiently here waiting for that additional confirmation here. Okay. So that's the Aussie dollar, euro dollar, right? Trekking to the upside. Tracking to the upside, coming back to, what should be that? Daily resistance at 109. 109, 165. So we'll see what happens when we get there, right? And we could likely even push further, right? Maybe getting almost to 110 levels before we get an opportunity to get back short. So we'll watch this and see how far price pushes. We do have a stochastic in the sell zone though. So we'll see if a pullback comes to retest previous resistance or not. But right, I think the data will tell us, be it now or next week. So we'll come down to the 4, right? And we're just pushing deeper into that zone, right? Coming back to that 786 level. We'll see if we get a further push to the upside there. Okay. And then down to your 1. Boom. We didn't get that C to D move. Price just continued to run. So we took out that A boundary. So we changed directions. And you see, right, after that cloud break, there's been a beautiful move to the upside, never really breaking back below. Just continuing to run long. So now this is where we are. So it'd be beautiful if we get this push into the 118, 127 zone, settle in, and then see if we get this retracement to happen. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for here on the euro dollar. Questions? Oh, all right, cool. Pound dollar, look at it. We'll come to the weekly. Took out the weekly high, right? So could we head back to 131? That would be interesting. That'd be very interesting, right? But could we head back there, give us the double top scenario there? All right. Coming back to the daily here. Just missed the 382, pushing back long. So again, that 131 level could be interesting from a daily time frame perspective. Double top, and then see, do we see a move back down to the downside, right? We got also daily resistance coming in at 129 that we could just push through in the short term here. Okay, so watching that to see how price moves and how far north we push. So as we get down to the 1 here, did I skip the 4? I skipped the 4. This is the 4. Right, so we had that shift, retest, push. So we run the fib back to the upside here. The A got taken out. Boom. That's just overextended. Right? So now down to the 1. Support held. Headed to the matching D extension here at 130. Right? Which higher time frames also give us that signal pointing north, getting to some of those higher levels. Right? So that one's already on the move. Nice 50% retracement consolidation there, and then a push. So just watching this one as it tracks to the upside. Questions on the pound dollar? Nope. All right. Pound Aussie. This one we've been watching. Let's see if we get the move to the upside to continue. We talked about this yesterday as well. That support held, double bottom. We got a push, and we broke this 191 level, or we're breaking this 191 level, right? So, do we get a retest of this level and continuation to the upside here? Okay. Beautiful move there. We do have a stochastic pushing into the sell zone there. So we'll watch for a retracement to come. Coming down to the 4, right? And this is what that looks like again. So we're getting that break literally right now as we speak. Are we able to close bullish above, retest the level, and then continue tracking a 193? Okay. And then here, we hit the 1-hour D extension. We got a reset, pullback. Now we're pushing into the 118 and 127 zone. So we're headed north there. All right. So that's the pound. Aussie, right? If you're playing this off the 618 retracement, matching the extension, TP achieved on the shorter term move, right? That was a good 168 pips to the upside. Okay. Now we'll look for a reset and see if we get a deep pullback, and then we'll play the game all over again. Questions on the pound Aussie? Nope. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cool. We got a few minutes left. Demi, you have any pairs top of mind for you that you're watching?
I am looking at this. Hold on one second. Let me pull it back up. Um, the CAD Swissy um, on the 4. Yep, run it off the most recent low. Yep. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if that double bottom is gonna hold. Right. So it's above the 200. 200 is angled to the downside, but yep, yep. Joe, you're right on it. Right, bouncing off that 200. So I'm waiting to see. We've got a swing low there. So I am waiting to see if this wants to push bullish and break the cloud, get back above the 50. Um, for a chance to move long on that. So that's the one that I'm paying close attention to right now off the 4-hour chart because I'm still fairly bearish on the Swiss franc.
Yeah.
You know, so continue to pay attention to those Swissy pairs. Um, that's that. The Euro CAD, right? And we had drawn a trend line on through one of our sessions. On the 4, it's about to hit a D extension, so I don't know if anybody's playing that one. On the Euro CAD, I got a fib running to the upside, breaking the recent trend line on the 4-hour.
Interesting. We had this crown pattern
Mm-hmm.
drawn up too. Look at that.
Yeah, running right off that low that you just had, the low the Jets had broke trend line and it's moving long. About to hit a D extension. So
Yeah.
but Neat said he did. Great job, right?
Great work, Beneath.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that one got going. Right.
That's a beautiful play there.
Yep.
Right. Just with that
So
382 push down, missed the D extension. Right. Gave us a crown pattern. Boom. Headed to the matching extension.
yeah. So the setups are there. Yeah, it's a little lower in a little slower in the summer with the ABCD waves playing out, but it really tests your patience. You see it set up. Um, you have to believe in yourself, right? And take the trade. But the opportunities are still there, right? And they continue to be, right? So those of you who have been with us for a while, you see it play out over and over and over again, right? And that's just an example. Just be patient, and let the market come to us, right? It's kind of like an example where uh, I'm a big WNBA fan, watching the games and you know uh, the young phenom Caitlin Clark. You could tell in the beginning because of all the pressure and all the expectations, right? That she was doing a whole lot, turning the ball over, and in the beginning it was a little shaky, right? But when she listened to her coach, right, who everybody was giving a lot of criticism to, and when she started letting the game come to her, right, her numbers have skyrocketed, right? She's turning into a young triple double machine, right? And less turnovers because she's letting the game come to her, right? And so that's exactly how we are in the Forex trade room. That's the approach, right? We have to let things come to us, right? And they will, and they will. And we have to be patient. We have to be willing to sit on our hands, not only waiting on a setup, but also once the setup and once that trade, right, as we go over every morning, once the trade has commenced, we have to be patient, right? And we can't look back. We have to let things run. And if we get in the habit of doing that, we'll come out on top. In the beginning, it's tough because I know the market's bouncing all around. The market's bouncing all around, and we just don't see it yet. But over time, as we show up here, pretty much every day going over these charts, you're gonna see that these moves play out, and then you're gonna start to realize that the reason why I'm not involved in these moves is all it's in my head, right? I saw it when it hit these levels. And for some reason I didn't take it or I got in it and then I pulled out, right? And didn't stay in and see it through to completion. And you're gonna realize that it's all in my head. If I just shift my focus, right? And believe in my education, believe in my trade strategy, I'll come out on top. Don't worry about the day to day, sometimes the week to week, sometimes the month to month, right? Or even the quarter, right? Sometimes it's one solid quarter that makes a year. It might not happen for you in the first quarter, second quarter. Maybe it happens for you in the third and the fourth. That's trading. That's the way it goes, and that's why it's important to stay disciplined, right? And again, believe in your education and stick to your trade strategy.
Bingo. Joy said, "Can you record that for us so she can listen to it daily?"
Right. I mean, and this is just, it comes from my own experience. It comes from my own experience, having those periods of time, especially early in the game, where just didn't believe in myself, didn't believe in my education. And then you look back, right? You look back over the month, and you're like, man, like that played out. Like, what was I doing? Oh, I was focused on this other strategy that like, oh, I was doing this, or I was doing that. I lacked the confidence to take the trade. Oh, I was over leveraged, so I was sweating bullets and I didn't stay in that position because it wasn't going my way at first. Right? Oh, I was too busy trying to get an exact entry and I got stopped out because my stop was too tight. Right? I had a 5 pip stop, and I was trying to get a 100 to 1 risk to reward ratio, and so therefore I was stopped out of the trade. I was frustrated. I took my eyes off of it, and then I go back into the month, and it's moved 450 pips. Just some things to think about.
I got you guys on that. I got you. We're gonna make a Benny Allen mixtape of quote. Ah, stay the course. Stay the course. That's it, right? When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And you get sick and tired of being sick and tired because you haven't worked to develop the discipline to follow the process and stay the course, right? And so then you choose to ultimately say, I don't have any other choice but to do what's required, which is develop the discipline to follow the plan, right? So
In defense, look at me getting offended. In defense, I could say throughout the years after he said that, because it's something that he always says, and I could see the growth, because when I first started, I didn't even have the patience to want to learn the 80/20 because I was so stuck in the trend. And then I started developing the mental capacity to say, okay, this is what I need to do for the 80/20. Once I realized I was doing it wrong from the beginning because I didn't quite understand. I wasn't asking for help and I wasn't asking questions. So this year's a new learning step. Each year has been a different learning step, and I can definitely, I'm definitely garnishing that patience.
listen, you're not the only one. I told you guys, like, once Benny became my mentor, um, it took me a minute to really step into, all right, this is what you got to do, right? It, I was unlearning a bunch of stuff too, right? And, but you get to the point where, like, all right, you start documenting the lessons and you start actually learning from those previous lessons. And then you start implementing those lessons that you learned from those experiences. It's a process. It's a process, especially when you come from a space where you've learned a bunch of other stuff that is different. And you did that, you actually forced yourself to learn those things that weren't beneficial to you. Right? But you got to go through the process of unlearning and breaking those old habits to then develop the new ones. Right? That's a process. And Ben and I was talking the other day, and he was talking about I forget who it was, but he said it's easier to teach a high school student the strategy. They'll take it and they'll just implement it because they don't know any different, right? They don't know any better, as opposed to an adult that has already been through things and already tried to learn this thing one time, and now you're breaking those old habits, and that takes longer to break the old habits before you can then implement new ones, right? It's a process. We all have our own experience. We've all been through things. We've all seen things. We've all come from different walks of life. And so we have to, and that's why committing to the discipline of redesigning your brain, right? And remapping those neural connections. That's why that's important, right? And ultimately getting yourself to the point where you're comfortable with change. Because that's the biggest thing, is we don't like change. It's uncomfortable. We feel it in our body. So getting to the point where you're comfortable with change and you're able to adapt a lot easier. And so learning new things isn't as scary, right? It's a process, man. But Joy, yes, you have definitely made tons of progress on your journey, right? And it's been beautiful to watch.
And Ryan, because you always say give yourself grace when you get to those points, to those
Yeah.
places, you'll be like, you know what, it's time. It's just time.
Yeah.
And give yourself grace and start over. It's
Give
okay.
yourself grace and start one more time.
Yeah.
Start one more time.
Because if I was still at the beginning, I'll still be taking trades at the 382.
That's it, man. Give yourself grace and give it one more go. Each time, give it one more go. Reese, want to take a look at this Euro NZD. Excuse me. Push through that 118, 127 zone, but we started to get a move back down to the downside here. Now we're just getting some consolidation just below that 118 level. So this one is it's still intact, right? We didn't get to the D extension, so we need to see kind of what happens throughout the day, throughout the rest of the week or the weekend. In my mind, it's still Tuesday, but see if we start to get more movement to the downside here. So we'll watch this and see, but we started to get that move back down yesterday. All right. And we'll see if we get pulled back in a continuation, making those ABCD waves to the downside there on this 80-20 on the one. All right. And come down to the 30. And we have this scenario here, similar, very similar to that 1 hour. Right. And so trying to make those moves back down to the downside there. Right. So not a firm trend line breaker, just consolidated through it. Right. So we'll extend this to the outermost point. Boom. So still intact, Reese. It's a good call from yesterday, man. We appreciate you. So now, right, just looking for a nice trend line break and a continuation to the downside here. Questions on anything that we covered this morning? Great work. Great work. Accountability group. You guys got any updates for us? What you guys are working on? How the reading is coming along?
So we've been going through the Candlestick Bible, and as someone who's new, this is really my first experience being in a trading group, so I feel incredibly blessed to be part of this group. The accountability group and going through the Candlestick Bible has been awesome. We've gone through this week, I think nine candlestick patterns, and we've been taking a look at the shape. So Donette makes us take a look at the anatomy of the candle and tell us exactly what this, what is that saying? What is the psychology of the shape of that body? And so we're actually talking that through and then looking at that on the charts. And so I ask a lot of questions. And to Joy's point earlier, as she was talking about asking more questions, this is a group that is incredibly patient and just learning just so much about the fundamentals of the technicals and the fundamentals, though, because I ask a bunch of questions. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a Candlestick Bible, and we're going through and understanding market psychology according to what the body of the candle is telling us, as well as the different patterns.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it.
Thank you, Kay. I want to thank them because this week was kind of chaotic for me in terms of so I had to they subbed. JC did one day yesterday and Kay did Tuesday. So the teamwork has been amazing. So I want to say thank you to them for plugging through. So yeah, it's been going good. Thanks for sharing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it, man. I love it. That's phenomenal. Great work, great learning. And then you're able to implement that every day. So it's beautiful. Beautiful. We appreciate you guys, appreciate the work that you're doing. Um, yeah, and we appreciate the continued growth, right? And the commitment to learning. It's beautiful. All right, good people. Accountability group. We'll meet tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? We will be back at it as a unit tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly ritual. You guys have a phenomenal Friday, and we'll see you tonight. Peace.